Part 1. The Dawn of the Story. The Germanic tribes, up to the 9th century. Before the birth of Christ and for centuries afterward, the Germanic tribes lived across northern and central Europe. The Franks, the Goths, the Vandals, the Saxons. Names that might sound strange today, but back then, these were fierce warrior peoples, strong, proud, and loyal to no empire. These tribes clashed with the mighty Roman Empire, sometimes as enemies, sometimes as allies. But when the Western Roman Empire collapsed in the 5th century, power vanished from the region. No central authority, no control, just chaos. And with that, Europe's map began to shift. Then came the 9th century, and with it, a man who would reshape the continent, Charlemagne. A brilliant leader who united much of Western Europe and founded what became known as the Frankish Empire. But after his death in 814 AD, that unity didn't last. His empire was divided among his heirs. One of those divisions, the Eastern Frankish kingdom, included what is now Germany, and it would become the seed of the German nation. Part 2, the Holy Roman Empire, 962–1806. Years passed. Kingdoms rose and fell. Then came a new ruler, Otto I, who took power in the Eastern Frankish kingdom. In 962 AD, he was crowned emperor in Rome, and thus began the Holy Roman Empire of the German nation. Sounds impressive, right? Well, don't let the name fool you. This empire was anything but united. It was more like a fragile patchwork of hundreds of small states, duchies and kingdoms, each with its own army, rules, even its own currency sometimes. Power struggles were constant, especially between Austria and Prussia later on. Despite several attempts to bring unity, Germany remained a fractured land. Then came the 19th century, and with it, a storm. Not from Germany, but from France. A new force was rising. Napoleon Bonaparte, the general turned emperor who shook all of Europe to its core. Napoleon's impact on Germany. After the French Revolution, Napoleon took control in France and began expanding eastward. He entered German lands claiming he was liberating the people from their tyrant kings. But the truth, he replaced those kings with puppets and dismantled the old alliances holding the region together. In 1806, he struck a fatal blow. After defeating Austria at the Battle of Austerlitz, he forced Emperor Francis II to abdicate. And just like that, the Holy Roman Empire, after 844 years, was gone. A turning point in German history. Napoleon then created the Confederation of the Rhine, a collection of 16 German states loyal entirely to France. This alarmed Austria and Prussia, but early attempts to stop him failed. But here's the twist. Not all Germans were against Napoleon. Many welcomed the changes he brought: the end of feudalism, freedom of trade, modern civil laws. Yes, he was a conqueror, but he also sparked new ideas of unity, nationalism, and reform. For the first time, Germans began to ask themselves, why don't we have one strong German state to protect us? Why are we always divided? The defeat of Napoleon and the road to unity in 1813, Napoleon faced a crushing defeat at the Battle of Leipzig, known in Germany as the Battle of the Nations. 2 years later, after Waterloo, he was finally exiled for good. Europe breathed a sigh of relief, but Germany, still a puzzle of pieces. In 1815, the leaders of Europe gathered at the Congress of Vienna to redraw the continent's borders. For Germany, they created the German Confederation, 39 independent states under one loose umbrella. But let's be real. It was more symbolic than effective. No unified army, no joint policies, no real leadership. Still, something had changed. The dream of German unity had been ignited, ironically, by Napoleon himself. He didn't unite Germany, but he made Germans want it. And now, It was time for Prussia and a man named Bismarck to turn that dream into reality. Part 3. Prussia and the Iron Chancellor. After Napoleon's fall, Europe entered a tense peace. But behind the scenes, Prussia was quietly rising. It wasn't the biggest German state, not in size or population, but it was the smartest, the most organized and disciplined. Its army, strong and efficient, its economy, growing fast, especially after the creation of the Zollverein in 1834, a customs union that removed trade barriers between German states, all led by Prussia, its education and industry, among the best in Europe. Prussia was building a modern state, but it still lacked one thing, a visionary leader to finish the job. Enter Otto von Bismarck, the Iron Chancellor. In 1862, Bismarck stepped into power with a bold belief: Germany will not be united by speeches and votes, but by blood and iron. And so he crafted a three-step master plan, each with its own war. War with Denmark, 1864. Bismarck allied with Austria to seize two disputed territories, Schleswig and Holstein. They won, but Bismarck had bigger plans. War with Austria, 1866. Using a dispute over Holstein as a pretext, Bismarck launched a surprise war against Austria. Result? A stunning Prussian victory at the Battle of Sadowa. Austria was kicked out of German affairs. Bismarck then formed the North German Confederation, a mini-Germany under Prussian leadership. But southern states like Bavaria were still hesitant. War with France, 1870. Bismarck needed a common enemy to unite all Germans. He found it in France. He provoked war by manipulating a diplomatic message, the Ems dispatch. France took the bait, declared war, and fell right into Bismarck's trap. The German states rallied behind Prussia. The result? A crushing victory. Emperor Napoleon III was captured. Prussian troops marched into Paris, and then came the grand finale. On January 18, 1871, inside the glittering Palace of Versailles, the heart of defeated France, the dream became real. The German Empire was born. King Wilhelm of Prussia was crowned as the first Kaiser of a united Germany, and standing proudly beside him was Otto von Bismarck. The vision that started with the fall of Napoleon was now a living, breathing empire. Germany, united, powerful, modern. A new force had entered the European stage, but this was just the beginning. Germany's ambition would grow, and the world would soon hear the echo of cannons once again. In the First World War, want to continue this journey? How did Germany go from a united empire to a global military power? Tell us in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next chapter.